Alright, so welcome back to a new video where today we're going to be talking more in depth about the potential of Ethan being in the Shadows of Rose DLC for Resident Evil Village in October. This is a theory and an idea that's been going around basically since the DLC was announced and we knew what was going to happen in it. And there's some good groundwork for it, it does make some sense, and we'll go over the reasoning behind it and the possibility of what he could do and how he could be involved in this video. So without further ado, let's just go. One thing, obviously, before we do start, spoilers for the main game are obviously going to be mentioned in this video. So if you haven't played the main game, don't watch the video, basically. But with that out of the way, let's carry on. So in the final few hours of Resident Evil Village, you find out that Ethan actually already died in the Baker estate right at the beginning of Resident Evil 7. When you first go in to find Mia and get caught by Jack, he kills you and you essentially get brought back as a molded. Ethan is completely unaware of it until the end of Village, where Miranda does kill him. Well, doesn't kill him, but she basically rips his heart out, and that is enough where the molded can't keep him alive anymore. So he does die and deteriorate over the course of the last hour of the game. Does save Rose, but then sacrifices himself to give Chris the opportunity to escape with Rose and Mia by blowing up the village and staying behind. So he is quote-unquote dead at this point, physically at least. There is another cutscene at the end of Resident Evil Village after the credits have rolled where you see an older, grown-up version of Rose, and after she drives away from Ethan's grave, someone is walking towards the car, which brings it to a halt, and then the screen fades to black. There is a rumour and an idea that that's Ethan, but it's not really said out loud, and it's not actually confirmed at all. It could be, there's very strong indication that it could be, but it's on the fence at the moment. Anyway, so from the DLC trailer, we can see that the story is basically Rose wanting to get rid of her powers, like she doesn't want them anymore, she wants to kind of fit in and be normal, and to do that she goes into like the mindscape of the Megamycete, which is like the big thing you destroy at the end of Village, and it's a big deal. It does play a lot into the story of 7 and 8, and it does have some kind of effects that it does that is giving people the idea that Ethan and other characters from 7 and 8 could be in the DLC in some fashion, and we'll basically get into what that is right now. So a lot of those ideas and theories do go back to this cutscene from Resident Evil 7 near the end, where when Ethan is trapped in the mold in the boat, he has like a vision where he is sitting with Jack Baker and Zoe, and it's their normal selves, it's not their evil selves, it's not their like possessed selves. And Jack goes on to explain that, you know, Evelyn is basically in your mind, it makes you do things, but you're aware of it at the same time, and it's not their doing, and that's because it's, you know, through the mold and stuff like that. Now the thing about this scene in particular is because of, if you look at it, it's kind of like a bit green tinted and it's a bit like wobbly as well. This is inside the Megamycete's consciousness basically. And what that basically is at the end of Village where Ethan gets killed by Miranda, she rips his heart out and she says that he'll join the Megamycete's records, and basically through the files in the games you can kind of tell that whenever someone's infected by the molded, their normal state, basically their soul, to put it simply, is stored in this mold database basically, and it keeps them on record essentially. So, and that doesn't even matter if you're alive or dead, because obviously Jack in the game, even at that point in that cutscene, is actually still alive because he's in the DLC, and so is Zoe. But he can see them and talk to them how they were before they were infected, and that's the leading idea behind how Ethan will return in the DLC, because not only is Rose in the castle, but that is essentially Ethan's death place basically. That's where he died. So the idea is that in some fashion, whether he's there as like a physical kind of spirit or more of a like mental guide, that he'll appear as a voice, maybe like a vision to Rose throughout the DLC. Now that does lead into other theories as well, such as other characters from Village being in the DLC because of where it takes place. Obviously a lot of people are kind of hoping to see Dimitrescu, Miranda, Heisenberg, all of them still there. Obviously the Duke is a big part of it as well, which is an interesting side of things that I'm not even too sure what's going on with at the moment, because he's not dead as far as we're aware. But there is kind of leading theories that he is another lord, so he's still infected with the mold, so he is again on record within the Mega Mind Suit, so you know it's potential that he could be there for that reason, but there's other theories around him which is probably going to be for another video. But with Ethan, I think it makes sense for him to be in the DLC. What's interesting is that we're getting a third person mode for the single player game and the DLC set in third person, so I do think maybe we'll see him as a physical form and actually see him like fully like in person with an animated face and stuff like that. It's possible. At the same time, it could just be a voice or a vision or some point in a cutscene or something like that. But I think the likelihood of him being in it in some fashion is quite high. Maybe they'll even explain the cutscene at the end of the game. You know, was that, for all we know, the end cutscene could have been like Rose asking the driver to stop the car because she saw someone, but that guy can't see him. Like, if that makes sense. Like, she could just be having visions of him around. But yeah, overall, like I say, I think it is likely we'll see him appear in some way or another. If anyone else has a different idea of if we'll see him or not, do let me know. I'm also interested to hear what anyone thinks of what the Duke is going to be doing in the game, as well as who the other version of Rose is. I think it's probably Ava, who was Miranda's daughter who died. So I think that's who it is. And obviously, you know, with the Duke or anything like that, let me know what you think. Also, there is a character that is mentioned only by name in the trailer for the DLC by the name of Michael. We don't know who that is. I did see one person say maybe it was the guy who was trying to assassinate Dimitrescu and who's carrying that blade in that gravestone before you fight her. Could be. But if anyone else has any other ideas for who that could be, by all means, drop them in the comments below. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Tomorrow's video is going to be an interesting one. I do kind of want to lay out a plan I have for the month of August. So tomorrow obviously is the 1st. I'll post a video about what I'm going to be doing for the month. It's pretty interesting, at least I think it is, and it is something we can all probably get involved in some fashion, so that'll be fun. But that's until tomorrow. So yeah, thank you all for coming by, and I'll see you all then.